You are listening to the Rick Magennis Show podcast, where Rick and his guests talk all things affiliate program management. No topics are off limits. Want to learn proven tips and strategies to grow an affiliate program? Look no further. Now here's your host, Rick Magennis.
Welcome back to the Rick Magennis Show. Today my guest is Brian Marcus. He is with Tune, and we're going to have a great conversation today about how he ended up at Tune, and we're going to be talking about some trends in the affiliate industry that are going to be very informative and hopefully bring some value. So Brian, welcome.
Thanks, Rick. Great being on your show.
So, we were just talking earlier on my background. We were talking about backgrounds, and we're all working at home now, and dogs and kids. So, just keeping it real. So, how has it been for the past? Let's see, we're 9-10 months now. So, how's it been for you?
Well, everybody's adjusting, and from Tune's perspective, we're all fully remote. We joined the Zoom crusade and got everybody onto Zoom. And it feels like we're not really missing a beat. So remote working feels pretty normal, not as ideal as we'd like to all be together. I think we had a fairly strong corporate culture, and we're trying to do things to sort of recreate that in the virtual world. But on the work side, everything feels pretty normal. On the personal side, I've got two teenage boys in high school. One's almost on his way to college. And so that brings things close to comfort. In addition to, obviously, my wife and our two dogs that are sitting in the room with me. Not my wife, but my two dogs are. And everybody sort of is respecting their space.
Yeah, that's the challenge. It really is. Now, you were talking about like the culture. You built a pretty nice culture over at Tune. How have you seen productivity change over the time you've been home? Has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse? How has that evolved?
Well, in the time that we sort of shifted to COVID, we actually got acquired by Constellation Software. So a whole bunch of things have changed. So I'd say from a productivity standpoint, we've all had to sort of readjust to that sort of new normal. But at the same time, I think we've been able to figure out how to apply what has been really a great culture at Tune, which is, even at being in the office at Tune, I would do a lot of one-on-ones walking around Seattle. I mean, it's such a beautiful place. We take our one-on-ones walking. And so I find that sort of the activities are the same. I will have my one-on-ones. We can go out and virtually have one-on-ones through walking, but our days have shifted a little bit. And I think in some ways, being able to carve time out for your own, being able to get out and get some air, giving your team freedom to sort of do what they need to do, take care of personal things. I think that's all still a part of sort of being good to each other, being excellent to each other, which is a core value at Tune. And we translate that into the physical world now, where we have to sort of respect each other's privacy, laugh a little. Sometimes, dogs get into the conference calls like they did at Tune, by the way. That we had dogs at Tune, a ton of dogs at Tune. So it doesn't feel terribly different. I think we were a fairly tight group and enjoyed spending time together. So that's been a little bit more challenging. The company has done things like we've sponsored our trivia nights. We've had a whole bunch of all hands meetings that bring together fun and business insight. So we're doing our best as a leadership team to make people feel, appreciated and valued.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. It's and it doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. So we're gonna be stuck here in Zoom world for probably a good portion of next year too, I would say.
This is true, and I think we're sort of just we want people to feel safe. We want people to feel that they have choice, and everybody's got their own situation. A lot of people have kids, or some don't. And, the thing is, just making sure that people are equipped to work where they have to work. I think that's been the greatest sort of test, and making sure that Tune responds to people's needs, keeping them in touch, making sure that everybody's aware, keeping the cadences of meetings, and keeping a sort of a drumbeat of making sure people are connecting is really important to us. We are global, so we have to accommodate and make sure that we are working with our friends out in Berlin and in India and other places around the world where we have a presence. And so that's been really important. And that hasn't obviously changed much with COVID. That's just more of the same, and just making sure we're inclusive of their wishes and their timeframes.
Absolutely. And so I usually don't talk about stuff like this, like probably like how people are doing, but I think it's important just because everyone's doing it and everyone has different stories and some are good, some are bad. And fortunately for me, like I was saying, my kids are back at school, so I can have a conference call without screaming kids, dogs barking. I can do a lot of things. So I'm thankful for the school business.
Yeah, I had to send a little all points bulletin via our little family text channel saying, I'm going to be on a podcast for the next hour. Can you guys just kindly respect the space? And so that's kind of how it works these days.
Yeah. So now let me just let's go backwards now. So talk to me about how you ended up where you are now. How did you start in the industry, and how the roads intersected to Tune?
Yeah, I'm going on almost 20 years in affiliate marketing, which I know there's those that have been in even longer than that. But I came about affiliate marketing when I joined my first e-commerce company a long time ago, back in the early 2000s, and so basically came across affiliate marketing as I was leading customer acquisition for a 100-year-old cataloger. This was a kind of company that literally was just moving online. E-commerce had just sort of all the tools, all the platforms were starting to come about. And I took over after sort of graduating business school. I had been in the consulting space a number of years before that. I wanted to sort of sink my teeth into e-commerce, and I wanted to jump on what it was then an emerging trend. So I joined a cataloger called JC Whitney, which was an automotive accessories catalog. And they had just started to think about sort of how they're going to expand their online presence. I ran all of our marketing channels. So everything from SEM at the time, was largely Google, to display and comparison shopping. eBay was a channel of ours, and affiliate was this channel that I owned and inherited from my predecessor, and got to know it through just watching the person who was running the program. It was probably the channel that was doing the best for us, but I had the least insight or understanding of. And so it was one of those areas I wanted to spend a little time understanding.
Well, it's funny you say that. It's probably the most successful channel, but also the one you know least about. That's probably very common with affiliate managers in today's world. They get thrown into these roles and they really have no idea how to navigate it, manage a program, and they're doing social media, they're doing their paid advertising, and then hey, do affiliate too. You might as well. And a lot of times affiliate, it can be the most profitable channel because it's really a performance basis. That's what it is. And they just, because no one knows much about it, they just put the minimal amount of effort in. And it seems like that's how you started too. You just, they threw you to the wolves and say, hey, have at it.
Well, it was interesting because for the most part, again, think about this. We've got, they had roughly 100 years of just offline marketing behind them. Here they were building an online presence. Things like SEM were pretty tangible. You could, the president would come over and figure out why he wasn't in the top 5 keywords. He could ask me a question about it. I can give him an answer. Email was very straightforward. All those channels made a lot of sense. What didn't make sense to the executive team, and I think this is part of the challenge, and one of the reasons I was quite intrigued by the channel, is that they couldn't really figure out what it was. What was the business model? Who were these players? In what was their interest in JC Whitney, and how do we work together with them? And I had one person at the time running 2 channels. I had the person who was leading my affiliate channel was running a program with a company back then called Performix and a company called Commission Junction. And so in order to really understand what was going on, I had to really dive deep into these 2 networks, start to get to know the players in the space. We had everybody from, just trying to think of all the names. I mean, they were mostly search arbitrageurs. I remember we had this company called Pepper Jam that was driving search marketing for us in our top 10. We had all these really interesting they seemed like content sites, but we didn't know what content sites were at the time. And we'd have these people operating out of their basement and creating content, creating feeds. So that's what got me in, and that's what pulled me in. And that's what got me super intrigued because it was delivering really high value for me. But I had to understand the levers. And so I started to get really into the mechanics of it. And I was, so happens that Performix, one of my networks, was based in Chicago. So I had set up a time to go meet with the CEO and ask him a little bit about how he was competing against commission junction and why the two channels were differing in the results. And that's the door that was open to me and eventually became a job right after JC Whitney. I ended up going over to work for Performix on the partner side. I ended up going to work for Performix after JC Whitney and diving really deep into the space. And so that was my ticket in. I mean, I had no idea and no aspirations at the time that I was going to spend another 2 decades in this space. I had no idea how vast the space was or sort of the dynamics and the resilience of the channel or the longevity of the channel. But what was really interesting to me at the time was it just seemed like it represented the internet at large. It was like a microcosm of all things internet, all these different types of ways to drive traffic from people who used a variety of different tools. All those pieces felt familiar when you looked at it one-to-one. You'd say like, oh, this is the publisher, here's how they drive traffic. But when you looked at it as a channel, it became more to me like a portfolio. It looked like what you do in a financial services business where you had, they had emerging business models within affiliate that you started to understand common trends. And sooner or later, it became obvious to me that running a performance marketing affiliate program was running an entire marketing program within a paid, a CPA sort of environment, which really made it unique.
And that's something that's interesting because I was always taught, because I've had my own agency for a little while, but I always worked for another agency, another well-known agency in the space, and that's what they always tried to preach, that affiliate wasn't really a channel. It kind of encompassed everything into its own kind of mix. And because affiliates can use email, they can use social, they can use pretty much any marketing technique they can use. So I've always been told that it's not a channel. It's just another, I guess, piece of the mix that they all get thrown together and can be used in affiliate. And to this day, if I ever talk to that person and use the word channel, he gets a little mad at me.
Well, it's just a way of sort of classifying it within a corporate structure. So the challenge has always been, here you had a paid search. So for example, I worked at Performix. The company got acquired by Google, ended up launching a network, the Google Affiliate Network, under a new name. But then when I think about it, like we at Google would be sort of positioned against, we had representatives that would go into advertisers for AdWords. And we had representatives that would go in, those same advertisers for the affiliate channel. So it was a way to package it at the time so that a marketer or a CMO or a VP of marketing would understand that your Google Pod had your AdWords guy and your affiliate person, and they could sit side by side. You could split the spend between them. Maybe in some ways it made sense, in some ways it didn't, because you were playing sometimes the same channel against each other. You'd have search affiliates, and then you'd have your search programs. So I think it was a way of organizing. It was a way of organizing, number one, and it was a way of organizing your spend. And I think affiliates, as I went on to places, ended up over at eBay out of Google and ran their partner, eBay partner network. That was truly a channel. From the eBay perspective, they looked at it and they said, I have $1 to spend on search, display, paid social, or affiliate. And they chose it as a zero-sum game and said the dollar goes there versus there. And so that's why that became a channel at the time. But the more you think about it, I agree with you. It transcends channel in some ways because of the fact that affiliate or publishers, partners, as we are starting to call them now, use a variety of ways to drive traffic. And they resemble every bit as much of a business development relationship today as they do a marketing channel. So we're in this transition to go, what is this thing? Where does it live? I mean, you think about, you add mobile to the mix, and you have these growth organizations that have been running similar parallel, it's like a parallel universe. They've been running the same thing on mobile, but they don't call it affiliate. They don't call it an affiliate channel. They call it growth. And so all these worlds are starting to come together. And I think today it's important that we add some structure to the language so that people know how to treat the entity called affiliate. But in the end, it's really about sort of fueling growth for your business, using others to market for you, doing that in a risk profile that helps an advertiser take on the least amount of risk possible, given that they have good brand sort of compliance, et cetera, because they get the sale before they have to pay for it. So how do you classify that today? I mean, it's partnerships. We like to call it a tune where I'm at today. Today, I lead the marketing and partnerships world at Tune. We like to think of affiliate as sort of a type of partner, and partners are in a number of different places within an organization, within a growth organization, within the marketing organizations, wherever they may live. We want to be able to fuel that growth.
Yep. And also, you said affiliate is now kind of, they use the partner term. The influencer affiliate airspace is kind of gray now too, because when I talk to brands, they want affiliates, but then I come back to them with an affiliate, but the affiliate wants money up front. And they're like, well, that's not an affiliate. I'm like, well, it's the evolution. It's how it's evolving. And that's where it's going now, because these affiliates, they're putting a lot of time in up front to write the content and do that. So I can see where they're coming from, where they want a few bucks. But again, it still is affiliate. The whole model is you pay for when there's performance. But now it's very gray, and it's becoming a challenge to overcome in a way for some brands.
Yeah, and I think in some ways the evolution of affiliate partners, publishers usually went the other way around. They were building their audiences and they were doing it on a risk-free basis. They were basically building audiences and introducing those audiences to marketers on a performance basis. Today, you see influencers who have already pre-built audiences, and they're trying to find ways to, and maybe that was true back then too, of some of these publishers, but they were willing to take the risk from a payment standpoint. Maybe these days, the influencers have an already established audience and they're looking for ways to monetize in a way that de-risks them. So the worlds of sort of flat fees, CPMs, or being able to merge those models is really a new twist. And usually it started, like almost all big models started as cost per action, and they devolve into cost per click and cost per thousand impression type of advertising. But I think today now we're bringing new types of partners into the fold that have established businesses and established audiences, and it has to accommodate a whole different type of model. And we have to think about how to pay them the right way, how to structure incentives that make sense for them, and how to bring them in so that they're part of this community where advertisers feel that they can take on new audiences with as little risk as possible.
No, absolutely. And going on that, I was on a call this morning with Newsmax, the online publication, and their fees are out of control. They want like 25 grand for a couple articles and things like that. But it comes down to, they have the audience, they have everything in place already, and the brands are looking to just get in there to get in front of those people. And it's kind of selfish to think that, hey, we'll give you a piece of the commission just to get in front of your audience. It's kind of naive in a way.
Tell me more about, so what was the rationale and how did they talk to you about that?
Well, they broke it down, just saying basically what I said. There's 3 different levels. There's a 5,000, 12,000, and like a 25,000, and you get a certain amount of pieces of content within each one. But you're getting in front of millions of eyeballs every month. Their email list is in the hundreds of thousands, and they have other syndications. They can syndicate the post to other places. And that's what they're selling, is the distribution of it is not just one way. It can go multiple ways, and you could have millions and millions of eyeballs on your brand each month, but for 10% of the sale, I don't know if that's something that they're really appreciative of.
Yeah, no, and I've been seeing just content in general. I mean, as I said, back at JC Whitney, we had people who, it was about automotive accessories and motorcycles and RVs. So we had all sorts of people writing content about these, just writing blogs, and they would attach a link. And that was sort of the beginning of it all. But now you have these giant media conglomerates that are starting to tap into performance marketing, and they're starting to try to figure out how to build sort of economics behind those clicks and think through how they can get access to inventory, much more performance inventory. I think that is going to drive them a different type of revenue stream. So I'm excited about the prospect of some of these brand new sort of larger players to the fold, but they also have to compete with their old sort of philosophies of just plain old CPM advertisements and eyeballs and impressions, and start to get into a little bit more about the customer journey, thinking about how performance marketing gets them lower in the funnel and how there's different economics attached to that type of media. I mean, you see all these large publications, sort of performance publications, getting gobbled up by large media conglomerates. And I think internally they're trying to figure out what's the best way to price these types of media and to invest in these types of relationships. So it's an interesting sort of evolution that you're seeing now, with it being from a blog to giant, the wire cutters of the world, where, everybody goes to learn. They trust the reviews. They understand the depth of analysis that some of these places do with products, not unlike CNET used to do a long time ago, or some of these comparison sites, but it's just happening more and more as time goes on.
Yep, and then that's what it comes down to, is you're paying for access to their audience. That's what it comes down to. And if your brand is what you say it is, you should be able to do just fine. Pay $500, $1,000, get the content, and then the performance will come years down the road if you keep at it, if you let them.
Very true. Very true. Well, it's one of those, again, I think we're in the middle of an evolution, and I look at some of the sites that have been sort of growing. I look at the Ziff Media. They've been purchasing different types of content. In addition, just recently, I think they had just they just inked a deal with Retail Me Not. So they're connecting sort of commerce and media together. They're thinking about that. And some of the other larger players, that Vox Media and others that you start to see have really great properties, Penske Media, all these, Hearst. Yeah, you see some of your old favorite magazines now. You roll over their links and you start to see tracking links in there now. So it's exciting to see that. Why not? I mean, because that's what people care about. They're in the mode. They're interested. They're affiliated. I mean, this is exactly where the industry should be going. And there shouldn't be a link. If you're going to be pushing people to product at some point in time, that is an advertisement. It's a native advertisement. And at some point in time, most of those links will be monetized.
No, absolutely. And it's just crazy, because my clients, when I talk to them, the first thing out of their mouths is usually no coupon sites. They're like, I want all the editorial sites. I'm like, all right, I got you. I'll see what I can do. It's not as easy as just reaching out to them. They have like editorial calendars. They're like legit businesses where they have certain things they're going to talk about at certain times of the year, and it's not as easy as just, hey, reach out to them and get us included in there. And that's a common misconception.
Yeah, and I think back to the portfolio. I've never been a fan of don't work with, or no, or work with this one or that one. And I've always been an and kind of person. And when I think about when advertisers, and when I was at Google, I ran the advertiser side of the affiliate business. So I had probably a number of those same sort of conversations. And it was rare. And I could say the same even when I went to eBay, just sort of trying to convince leadership to say, like, why not and? So why not both, right? I mean, there's nothing that says you have to be treating every dollar that comes in the door the same way, especially if you know your own economics and how much it costs to fund a coupon. You can price your media in a way that sends a signal to someone that says, if you want to work with us, here's your commission. And that's up to the publisher to take on that assignment or not. Like, you don't have to make that decision for them. You can just explicitly state what you're willing to pay. And others will then raise their hand and say that works for me, because they may know more about your conversion rates. And they may know more about your average order values. And it may be a good win-win to be able to structure a deal that includes them as an and doesn't disclude them from the mix. So I always think, again, you need your stocks and bonds, right? You need that mix of things where you've got volume, you've got quality and different levels of that. And you can't always depend on just one type.
No, I agree. And lately I've been talking about diversification of your affiliate portfolio. And there are a lot of coupon sites out there that are, for lack of a better word, just garbage and junk. But there are some ones that do bring value. I'm not going to name them. I don't want to call anyone out in good or bad way. But there are ones that I do work with, and I have good relationships with, and they do bring value. And it means they do more than just coupons. You can do placements with them, and you can get inclusions in their email newsletters because they have millions of readers. So there's many things you can do with them, but everyone wants the review or the content ones, but there's so much more out there, like the paid search. There's a few of them that I work with that I absolutely love it, and they do great work. And then you have the social media influencers who do affiliate, like the micro influencers who work on affiliate. It's just you got to diversify the pool, and because if you rely on one and that one dries up, you're screwed.
Yeah, well, and I also just think that if you're playing with a diversified portfolio, you are pricing things differently. So you can accommodate a high volume of lower priced traffic, and it works for you, right? So if you end up acquiring somebody through a coupon, if you do the right things as an advertiser, you can continue to work with that customer for many times forward, and you can build a large lifetime value against that. You do have to accommodate on the front end sort of the price of that offer. But coupons are just a type of an offer, and there's nothing in particular, there's nothing wrong with a coupon. I mean, you got to think about how a consumer shops and how you acquire consumers. If you do have coupon sites, which you should, and I recommend in all your portfolios, you should have a mix of certain coupon sites that work for you. You should also balance that with, completely native advertising in the content side, where maybe your average order values are a little higher, and maybe your quality of customer stays on a little longer. And that's all because of the way they found you. And that's all because of the way that they placed value on the step before they bought, which is the affiliate. And let me even broaden it. It's not just an affiliate. It's any type of a publisher that helps you pre-sell. So if you're intercepted as you're looking for something and you're on Google or you're on Amazon or wherever it may be, let's say Google for make it easy. You are putting keywords in, you have intent to buy. If you get intercepted by an affiliate or any type of publisher and they add value to that transaction, then they're doing their job and they're helping you compare or take out some obstacles perhaps that may have been in your way as you were thinking about trying to make a purchase. If they have a review and they're comparing multiple types of manufacturers or services, to me, that's a value-added service that would help a buyer choose you and stay with you for the long run. So I've been using the term value-added pre-seller throughout my career as kind of what a publisher does in the affiliate space.
No, that's a good way to put it. Actually, I never even heard that. That's a good way to look at them.
Yeah, and I think the reason I shy away from just saying affiliate is just because there's so many ways to influence a sale. In particular, we're finding influencers in general are they've always been around. They've always been really important in affiliate. They're getting notable now because of others are starting to figure this out. But being able to give them a way to track, to structure compensation, to report on their earnings, that's all sort of the nuance of what's happening today versus perhaps a decade ago, where they would structure one-off IOs with you and you had no basis to price. You didn't really know how to deal with these guys. Now, with platforms like the platform I work at Tune, you have a software infrastructure to help you sort of bring and onboard these types of partners, get them in front of advertiser audiences, and begin that conversation of how they want to work together. And that could take the form of, flat fees, different types of attribution to those partners, or just being able to structure a deal that works for them using software to help you structure that deal and create that connection point.
Yeah, and that's getting me into my next point is the technology. The technology in affiliate there's not even a question how much has evolved. But where do you see technology going in the next decade? Do you see it being like a absolute necessity, or do you see it just being more complementary?
So I've always been a big technology fan, and I think so when I joined Performix, it felt like more of a boutique agency with tech, and then grew into Google, which became tech with a performance agency. It was sort of the flip. And as time goes on, I actually think technology is going to do those things that is going to do heavy lifting of things that help people focus on the value-added relationship management. So if technology is doing their job, it's helping to structure relationships. So formalize relationships and tracking and reporting, and it's helping facilitate the relationship management. So being able to take some of the pain out of running spreadsheets, as you're onboarding them, you're getting them creative, you're communicating to them, all those pieces should be aided by technology. And in addition, it's helping you take the data that you're learning and put that data to work. So it's giving you insight, but it doesn't stop great agencies, and it doesn't stop great marketers from being even better on a great technology platform. I liken it to the world of real estate. I mean, you could look at real estate and say real estate has killed the real estate agent because of Redfin and all these other places that are out there with technology platforms. But if you really think about it, great real estate agents will survive and thrive in an environment where they're enabled by technology. And maybe some of those that were not adding value will drop by the wayside. I see agencies getting smarter with better technology tools at their fingertips. And I see partners finding more and more relationships through technology because of some of the AI that can be applied in helping discover new relationships. And on top of that, I see technology playing a role outside of not just finding relationships, but delivering traffic and being able to accommodate on the receiving end, on the advertiser side, taking in the type of traffic that these types of publishers actually send and making it more personal and making it better and more of a warm transfer from affiliate site to marketer deep into an app, with that experience being so much better through technology. So I think technology plays a role in all those areas. The company Tune, where I work for today, we play a role in helping facilitate relationships like between the advertisers and partners and networks. And we give them sort of all the plumbing they need to be able to run their own network, their own private network, to be with their own name on it. You know, you rarely see Tune's name on an affiliate network. It's because it's the advertiser's network. And it's there, and we provide them all the pieces they need to facilitate that kind of a relationship.
Like a white label kind of thing, right?
It is white label, and we want advertisers to own their own program. We want them to work, though, with a variety of different types of partners. They could be working with direct partners, direct publishers. They could be working with other networks. They can be working through a variety of networks, mobile networks, affiliate networks. We are technology. We actually are not a network. We are a technology platform. So our job is to create the connection points, let the advertisers drive, and give them the tools they need to drive. So we don't want to compete with networks. We don't see ourselves as competition to other traditional affiliate networks either. So it's about partnerships and helping people partner the way they want to.
Yeah, and that's how it is in 2020, where you see these brands. They have multiple networks and they have multiple technologies involved. Where some of them, like they just feel like they're competing and they're trying to, like, the networks are trying to get them to come on board 100% with them. On your end, you're just there as the facilitator, just saying, hey, we're here, we have what you need, but do what you got to do, and it's kind of refreshing to know that.
Well, I mean, we create optionality for advertisers. We give them the ability to work with whomever they'd like. And in fact, so I came from a network environment, right? Google Affiliate was a network. I came from a network environment where I was running my own network at eBay. And one of the things I think is that networks compete today primarily on unique distribution. So what they have are partnerships. That's their value. And so when I'm talking about a network, I'm talking about essentially just that exchange between advertisers and partners and being able to, most networks take a cut of the spend. So what I think we eliminate in that equation is that a lot of the networks have similar distribution. And the idea would be is if you open up a program to every network or any network, you actually help networks compete on the basis of the value of their unique distribution. So you'll actually wipe out a lot of the duplication, and it will create competition in the right way for networks to specialize in unique distribution, as opposed to everybody offering the same types of distribution, where you can get it from network A or network B or network C and not both. You want, in the end, there to be a way for you as an advertiser to say, this network provides me with great sources of traffic for these types of partners. This network creates opportunities for different types of distribution, as opposed to just creating duplication. So I think having a platform for you to see everybody on a equal playing field and being able to say, I get my best traffic from here, I get my best engagement from here. And then you can start to use networks for what they're really, really good at, as opposed to just turning on a switch and expecting all the same players to be there.
No, I couldn't agree more. That is a great way to look at it. And in terms of Tune, they're not a network, they're a technology platform. Where are they headed in the next year or so? Anything on the horizon that you can speak about?
Yeah, I think we continue to look for opportunities to facilitate. I mean, we have a product that we launched over a year ago, our payment product. So being able to use payment, being able to we have a partnership with Publisher Discovery, and being able to discover your partners, being able to pay your partners, everything from soup to nuts comes through Tune. The idea, though, will be to how do you bring the world together and being able to see sort of where you can optimize the best. So we're going to be applying technology to helping you discover partners better, helping you figure out sort of how to double down on those partners that are driving higher ROI, help to create opportunities to work with different types of partnerships. Any types of partnerships you're seeing, we're applying a whole bunch of technology on the tracking side so that mobile relationships and desktop relationships become one. And we can start to track the journey a whole lot better. So all of our tracking technology is fully future-proof and compliant and helping sort of the mobile app world and the desktop world come together. And then helping our advertisers sort of optimize on the creative, the targeting, the being able to wipe out fraud real time within the platform. All those pieces come together within the platform. Those are the areas that we're really building up. We're also working quite a bit more on the agency side. We are really building out our agency tools and building up what we'll call our Connect ecosystem, which is, we are not a network, but we do host all the major players on the partner side, so that think of like a LinkedIn, you can go find your partners and go work with them, but we don't take a cut of that relationship. We just facilitate the introduction, provide all the plumbing. Hate to use an unsexy term like that, but connect point A to point B and make sure that people can work together in the best possible way.
Where can the audience find you and learn more about yourself and Tune?
Sure. Well, they can find me on LinkedIn in particular. That's probably the easiest place to find me. And if they're interested in talking about how Tune can help, they can email me at brianm@tune.com. And if they're also interested in talking to Tune directly, they can email sales@tune.com or partnermarketing@tune.com and find someone to talk to.
No, I appreciate it. It's always good to talk to industry veterans. A veteran is 20 years now, and the industry is still a baby. Really, it is, and it's only going to be growing and getting bigger and better. That's what I see.
Yeah, I love working in this space, and I see a whole bunch of opportunity ahead of us. So thanks for having me on the show, and really enjoyed the conversation.
No problem, Brian. Thank you very much.
We want to hear what you thought about this episode. You can email Rick directly at rick@bearcatmedia.com or leave a review where you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe, because new episodes will be released every Wednesday. Thank you for listening to the Rick Magennis Show podcast. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast in iTunes, Google Play, and wherever podcasts are available. To learn more about Rick, go to bearcatmedia.com.